Hey everyone, welcome to the Let's Be Real podcast. On today's episode, we'll be covering the box office projections for this weekend, the Rebel Moon trailer, a Frozen podcast, our top 10 best film endings, Disney's latest 4K Steelbook releases, Dune Part 2 being delayed, a Gears of War movie, and Thor 5. So, let's get to it. I'm joined here by James as always. Lad, how you doing?
Doing all right, mate. Doing all right. Been doing a little bit more relaxing than I usually do on the weekends because out of Auckland for my job, had a nice little expo on. Had a wonderful chat with a person, which was nice. But yeah, no, I was exhausted. It's pretty much work constantly. You get, free drinks and free meals and stuff. So I guess it kind of makes up for it. But I was very tired. So I just used the last 2 days just to absolutely chill, which was nice. And then I'm going away tomorrow again. So yeah, we're always on the move here with me. But yeah, been good, man. Been good. What about yourself?
Yeah, I've been good. I've also got a work event coming up this weekend, going down to Christchurch for the weekend. So
Oh yeah.
that should be good.
Hmm.
Interesting. Never been to Christchurch before, so should be interesting. Other than that, the Warriors won, locked up a top four spot. That means they're going to have a home final, and the All
Nice.
Blacks will just move. And the All Blacks will just move on for that because
What was the score again? I forgot.
30 something 7, worst defeat in All Blacks history.
Wait, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's the
funny.
biggest margin. And that's funny because we talked about it the other weekend when you came up to watch one of the games. We
Mm.
discussed like how the All Blacks don't lose by that much and they end up losing by that much.
That's were they playing their full A-list squad?
As full as we could get, barring injury. We had a couple players out with injuries.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's
So
funny
yeah,
because we kind of destroyed them when we went and saw them live a couple
yeah,
months
we
ago.
did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not good for 2 weeks up from the World Cup, but it's another thank God Foster's going. I'm sure no one in New Zealand would disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's
Yeah.
gonna be good. I'm looking forward to our little podcast here, having a nice little Rugby World Cup segment and NRL finals segment as well. This should be very interesting. Yeah.
Will be the next month and 2 months is going to be sports games will be featured heavily.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. So here on the Let's Be Real podcast, we're here to bring you all the latest and greatest from the entertainment industry, from blockbuster hits to indie flicks. We've got you all covered. And if you're a real movie buff, be sure to check out MovieGainz.com for even more exciting content like box office analysis, Oscar predictions, and 4K content. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. So, because we're doing this on a Sunday, not our usual Monday, we don't have the actual figures for the weekend box office, but we do have the projections. And that's basically we've got the data from the Friday results and some of Saturdays, and we can somewhat see where the week's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, we think the top five is going to be Gran Turismo with 16.5 million, Barbie with 15.7 million, Blue Beetle with 10 million, Oppenheimer with 8 million, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem with 5.6 million. So, James, are you surprised by these results at all? Mainly in regards to Barbie taking up number two spot and Gran Turismo dominating, or not dominating, but being number one.
These are based on Deadline's projections, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Right, yeah. Deadline are pretty reliable when it comes to box office and their projections. Sometimes they lowball this, so I can see some of these projections going a little bit higher. I mean, I had Gran Turismo at 17 million and 16.5. I think it will be closer to 17 million once everything plays out. Barbie, I had it at 15.5, so they're going higher than that. So perhaps we might actually get a real battle for Barbie in its sixth weekend, taking the number one spot, which I think is that would be
Insane.
like that's insane. Yeah, that's crazy. I had Blue Beetle at 12.2 for a 10 million weekend. That's a big drop. Barring something I'll cover something else this weekend that I'll cover in just a second. But yeah, 10 million, that's a huge drop. The fact that Oppenheimer at sixth weekend is only 2 million out from it based on these projections. That's just crazy to me. Yeah, Oppenheimer dropping around to 8 million. I have that forecasted at 8.1 million. Mutant Ninja Turtles 5.6 is a lot lower than what I thought as well. I had that at 7 million. So it's all tracking real well. The thing that makes this weekend so interesting is National Cinema Day. Do you know much about that? Because it's like an American thing.
Yeah, I've seen stuff all about it.
Mm.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So it offers everything at 4 million a day, and like I know that the Sunday ticket pre-sales are 700% plus higher than Saturday. So you're going to get a lot of activity on Sunday that will change all of these numbers in a very interesting way. But essentially, with a ticket being $4 a day, everyone's going to come to the cinema on that Sunday and watch those movies. They might even watch multiple movies because since like tickets are like $12 US, around that figure. And they can see, three for the price of one. It will make it interesting. Because especially the fact that the National Cinema Day is on a Sunday, and when estimates come out tomorrow, that is based on Friday and Saturday and then Sunday estimates. So the actuals on Tuesday or Monday for the US will be when we actually get how this top five plays out. I mean, looking at this, it seems like Oppenheimer may even be able to get into the third spot. I think it's unlikely, but yeah, just the Barbenheimer thing dominating in its sixth weekend. It's both still in the top five. Barbie competing for first spot. It's crazy. But my main points: Gran Turismo, the opener for this weekend. It'll open at number one. I do believe it'll beat Barbie, but I think 16.5 is very, very disappointing. I mean, the series has sold like 90 million units, which is the biggest PlayStation exclusive video game franchise ever. And for it to only get 16.5 million, I think is low because I thought it would attract an audience similar to Fast and Furious, racing and car enthusiasts and stuff. But I don't know what it is. Is it the lack of actors being able to, help market this movie? Or is it just the marketing itself? Because the trailers I always thought they were cheesy, they were nothing. They didn't make it seem interesting at all. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, the movies. Oh, the movies. The movie is definitely better than the trailers for sure.
Hundred
I
percent.
think the strikes does have an impact on Gran Turismo, but I also think people are just sick of video game films, especially like not good ones. We've seen Rotten Tomato score drop their results before it even released in the US, and it was rotten. So people are probably thinking, oh, this is just like a typical video game adaptation. Why waste our money when actually it's actually a very entertaining film. Fast and Furious doesn't quite help its case because the past few have been pretty average.
Yeah.
Goes to show, especially with Fast X earlier this year, how it completely bombed, so to speak. So yeah, I think people are they're just wanting to see good films, and I think we're seeing that with Barbie and Oppenheimer. And they're both great films, and the fact that they're featured in the top three or even top five for the past 6 weeks is absolutely insane. Blue Beetle, yeah, that could very much lose its third spot. Really, if you think about it, like
Yeah.
it could go down to fourth, and Oppenheimer could end up being third, which is insane. So I think right now the cinema industry is really getting carried by Barbie and Oppenheimer. Goes to show because they're both fantastic films, and obviously people want to see quality over whatever else we
Yeah.
get nowadays.
Yeah.
Because times are tough right now, and people want to spend their good hard-earned cash on something worthwhile and good, and it
Yeah.
translates to this dominance. Ninja Turtles being in the top five, fuck yes. Hopefully we get still yet to see it. Hopefully I can see it down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really good for an animated film and not quite a peak animated time, really. Yeah, it's all good results there, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought that the National Cinema Day would save Blue Beetle from a bad drop. 10 million's fine, but yeah, I thought it'd be around 50%. Can't believe I got that one that wrong. Yeah, but
Well,
that's DC. I should expect the worst.
you should always. It's the status quo nowadays with DC. All right, moving on. So we've recently gotten a trailer for Zack Snyder's upcoming film, Rebel Moon. It's a two-parter. So the first part comes out this December on the 22nd, and then the second part comes out in April the 19th next year. So, James, we haven't seen much of Zack Snyder since pretty much the Snyder cut off Justice League. I think that's the last film I can recall of his.
He did Army of the Dead
Ah,
21.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen that. So
neither.
this is pretty much his first film in like 2 years. Uh,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on the trailer?
The trailer itself, I liked it. I didn't really get much from it. It's a very new world, and it appears to be something very large in scale. But it has your typical Zack Snyder imagery, which I really do love. Zack Snyder, in terms of his visual impact, he's got a very good visual style, and if he made it work in DC alongside a powerful screenplay, it would have been a thing of beauty. But here again, he's a master when it comes to visuals and these kind of movies. I think he's really, really built for it on a visual level. But again, it's always the weakness with Zack Snyder. It's always the screenplay. It's always style over substance. It's never he doesn't really have much substance in his movies. And I know like all these Snyder boys are gonna like come in here and get real mad at that, but it's true, and the results speak for themselves. But yeah, like I will wait to be excited. If part one's excited, then I'll obviously be excited for part two. I'm excited to see it just on a pure curiosity kind of level, but it's hard to be excited for Zack Snyder stuff because sure, it's going to be nice visually, but am I going to get anything out of the screenplay? That's really the big question that I'll be asking. And also the fact that this movie it looks nice, but it's released on Netflix. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to have a great visual experience of the movie because I'll be watching on, sure, I got a nice OLED TV, but it's a TV at the end of the day. It's on a big movie screen with powerful sound. So that is disappointing. But overall, from the trailer, it looks cool. I'm excited. I love original ideas, and I love them being portrayed on a really large budget. I know that part one and part two, they have a combined budget of 166 million. So that's something to look forward to. And yeah, but in terms of, I don't expect greatness. I don't even really expect a good movie. I just expect it to look nice and be kind of cool. But hopefully, Zack Snyder has a good screenplay behind him because, again, and I'll say this for Justice League, Batman vs Superman, and for Man of Steel, if you included his visual style with a really good screenplay, some of the best comic book movies ever, honestly. Like he could have made
Definitely.
that. It could have been there. And it could have started, DC could actually be ahead of Marvel because of the characters are far more iconic and greater. But we saw how it really went in the polar opposite direction. But yeah, that's
Now
not
DC's
DCU talk.
suffering for it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I saw a little bit about this, and I know that Zack Snyder wants this to be a massive IP and a universe that can be built on. It's going to be in other types of media. I saw that, this is meant to be a part of a trilogy. There's a TV series that he has planned for this. There's a 4-player action game that's going to be available on Netflix games platform, whatever that means. Yeah, Netflix games. Yeah, there's going to be a video game, an animated short, a graphic novel. So I think he's really trying to build, because it was meant to be like it's Zack Snyder's Star Wars. That's what everyone keeps saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's going for because he did pitch this to Lucasfilm after Disney brought it a while ago. So if it's good, if he can build something, it would really do a lot for his reputation, which is really mixed. And I think as our fans kind of discredit him by being a bunch of whiny, immature losers. So if he can create a franchise that is half of Star Wars in terms of scale and popularity, it's a very, very big accolade on a director's resume.
Yeah, and it's about time we get more original ideas in
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood, because most of the stuff you see is franchise adaptations, reboots, remakes, live action remakes, or it's already part of a franchise. So the fact that Zack Snyder's trying to create a whole new franchise here that's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
based on nothing,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. The most recent franchise based on nothing is pretty much Avatar, which was
Mm.
2009, which James Cameron made. After that, you could probably make a push for Star Wars, which was an actual original thing, not
Yeah.
based off anything. So,
Yeah.
it's very rare that we get these sort of things. So I hope it's good for Zack Snyder, because if he has all these things planned, if this first movie bombs, then it's going to be a bad look, or he won't be able to get that traction that he can get for it.
Uh-huh.
The fact that it releases on Netflix as well, I'm not quite sure how the money works in that aspect.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a bit more difficult to say. But Netflix obviously has faith in him, and faith in this franchise. So if they want to give him this whole two-part movie to kickstart this franchise and potentially go on, then they might see something in it. But again, it's Netflix. Their movies are quite hit and miss sometimes, mostly misses. In terms of Zack Snyder's visual style, you definitely saw it throughout the trailer. You have that iconic imagery of his, and then his
Mm-hmm.
classic slow-mo shots in there as well.
You love it, don't you?
Because it didn't come until very late. I'm not a big fan of slow-mo, and I saw it, and when I was watching the trailer, I was like, oh shit, there's no slow-mo in this. This is like great for a Zack Snyder film. And then it happened. I was like, yeah, of course.
Oh
But yeah,
man.
no, I'm same boat as you. I'll be interested to see what it is. It'll be nice to see a new world. It does give off a little bit of a Dune vibe, with the whole part one, part two, and then the whole desert sort of setting
Mm,
as well. I have seen
yeah.
comparisons online, how it's saying that it's being compared to Dune as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I'm all
Mm.
excited for a new franchise being built.
Yeah. I mean, it really does seem like a mixture of, Star Wars, even some Avatar in there and Dune as well. So, you're completely right. We want original material. When it comes, we shouldn't just be, oh, it's Zack Snyder. We're not excited for this. I think, we want original stuff coming because we're getting too much of, IP driven stuff. So I think this is good. Whether it does well or not, we'll have to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Now, speaking of franchises, we move on to Frozen now. So we've already gotten Frozen 1 and 2 over the past 10 years. I think this year is the 10th year of Frozen coming into our lives. And now it's been announced that there is a podcast series set to be released in November 23rd based on Frozen. And it's going to be set after Frozen 2, but before Frozen 3. So it's in that in between period. And it's going to be a 12-part series which follows Anna seeing why the spirits of nature is playing up and her pretty much going on to fix that. Now, this is quite interesting because it's based on a podcast format. So unless there's video involved, we're just going to be listening to these characters and seeing what's happening. I believe Disney, what they said is they want to get into kids podcasting a bit more, which is the reasoning behind having this. And it's a very, very popular IP of theirs, Frozen. So why not try kickstart that with this? So, James, what are your thoughts on this Frozen podcast?
Oh man, when I saw this, I had to look at it twice, and I didn't know we are going to be covering here, so I didn't really think twice. I just saw a podcast, and I was like, "What?" And then just carried about my day. But upon looking at it more, yeah, it's a podcast exactly like what we're doing right now. Which is it's really weird for a storytelling device on the scale of a franchise that's in like multiple billion-dollar movies. It's just very it's real weird for me. Just seeing that it's not even going to have the original cast in. It's going to have people playing the characters that aren't the original voice performers. I think if Disney wants to go down doing podcast format stuff for their IP, that's fine. That's kind of cool. I mean, I like the new thinking. It shows how really big podcast is now. Um, But I think if you want to do that, you have to have your original people coming in and doing that. Yeah, just because if I wanted to tune in, or someone younger really into the Frozen franchise tunes in and they hear someone different playing Elsa or Anna, it's going to be really weird for them. Especially because you're in a different format of storytelling, which is a podcast, audio only kind of thing. And then you're going to have all different people playing the character. I think it's just, it's going to be, it's too different to the point where I think it's just, you shouldn't really do it. If you're going to go to a different kind of storytelling platform for your IP, you got to keep the original, as much original stuff in to it as possible to kind of make it immersive. But as for it being, set in between Frozen 2 and Frozen 3, and I think it's fine. Frozen's not really a franchise that I can get invested in. I don't think it's the type of franchise where I'm dying to see what happens next. I'm dying to see where these characters go. So I honestly don't care. I just know that really Disney are doing this because Frozen is a very, very big IP for them. Not because they have loads of material to run through for these characters or for the world. I don't really know what the world is, to be honest, but it could be interesting, but I won't be listening to it.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you going to give this a listen?
No, I don't really listen to podcasts. I more listen to music. So I definitely won't be listening to it because it's not my jam. But I do like this approach from them. It's something different because usually we see like a book or a comic book based either a prequel to a movie or in between or stuff like that. We see that a lot nowadays. So the fact that they're trying to capitalize on this podcast market and many kids podcasting as well is I think it's a great opportunity for Disney and shows that they are trying to break the norm in terms of their marketing and their sort of content. So I am all for this idea. Frozen, I completely get why they chose this. I said it before. It's like kids nowadays that for the past 10 years this has been their Lion King, so to speak. The 90s had the Lion King, the 2010s have this. So obviously little kids are wanting to listen to this, watch this and whatnot. So it's obviously going to be great for them. And then the fact that it's leading up into Frozen 3 as well is just they're going to keep that momentum going on Disney's part. So it'll be interesting to see if they do any more podcast versions of this, maybe for upcoming films or something. I don't think they can quite do it for new projects. So, for example, Wish, because if you're revealing that world, then you're sort of spoiling the movie somewhat. I think for now they should just stick to established films of theirs, or maybe once Wish comes out, then maybe like 2-3 months after they do like a podcast about the prequel and stuff about that world. So the world's really their oyster in this market because no other studios has even thought to do this. So it's again Disney one step ahead of everyone else.
I think it will be a success, and I think we're going to see more from it. The reason I listen to podcasts, not too often, but when I do, it's because I listen to too much music in that day, and I'm usually commuting or going to a screening in which I'm stuck for an hour and a bit in traffic, and it's a good way to pass the time. So my question to you is, say there's a day where you listen to music all day in the office, you're commuting to a screening, an hour in traffic. If you were to turn to a podcast and it to be related to a film, similar to what this Frozen's doing, what kind of franchise would get you to click play?
Hard question. Being put on the spot.
So it really depends what's out and what's happening in the film industry.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe, I don't know, something like a Batman podcast if it's based on Nolan's Batman or Matt Reeves' Batman. That will probably get me to click play. Anything about Nolan, exploring his worlds and his films. That as well. Maybe a Spielberg sort of podcast where he just like dissects some of his favorite movies of his that he's made. They're probably the three at the top of my head right now.
Yeah, that would be good. I think I mean, I wouldn't really tune into much. Just as I said, if I'm experienced too much music or I'm in, got a long drive ahead of me, then I would. But I think this could has a chance to really blow up because podcasting is such a low budget, thing. So they can really do this stuff really quick and really easy. And as Disney's doing here, they're going to have, completely different, actors voicing these characters. So they could really, they could tap into the things that, we're always theorizing, like continuing Nolan's Batman, how that continued to play it out. And, like all this different types of stuff. I think possibilities are endless and we'll see what happens, but it could be really a new form of storytelling for, big movie IPs.
Agreed, definitely. All right, moving on, and I'm going to hand the mic over to James because he's recently done a list for his top 10 best film endings. I'm not sure if it's dropped yet or not, so you guys will either get an early sneak peek of this list or he'll drop it simultaneously. But James, you want to run through your list and your reasoning for this list?
Yes, of course. Okay, so it will be dropping today alongside the podcast. Just gotta get it up on our website. So if you want more, I'm not gonna speak as extensively as I do on the article, but yeah, go to MovieGainz.com, check it out. We've also recently done our favorite Christopher Nolan movies following Oppenheimer. So yeah, and every week we're going to be doing a list just covering our favorites of a certain piece of film. But yeah, so this one's it was a very, very hard list to do. And you will disagree with it. Everyone will disagree with it because, this is not something that's, it's not about a director's filmography. It's not about a genre. It's about every film ever and the best endings to that film. So no one's going to agree completely, but I've tried to do it as best as I can here. The way I've sort of judged it is I've tried to incorporate stuff that that's had quite big impact to me in terms of the endings and also what I believe to be the best as well. So I've tried to create some kind of synergy between those two elements. It was very, very hard to do. And I know there's, at least 50 to 100 movies that could be on a top 10 list for best ending because, yeah. But to me, an ending is, I wouldn't say the most important part, but it's definitely one of the best or biggest moments that you need to have in your film because they can have such a huge impact on how you perceive the movie once it closes. So yeah, I think they're very important. And, the movies that I say here are all considered, absolute classics, except for one, which we'll get to because it's a bit early, but yeah, but so it just goes to show how important a film's ending is and how it can have such an impact on the viewer afterwards. But I'll start my list now. So at number 10, I got The Truman Show. Now, I don't know. Do you think I should talk about the endings or because they are a bit spoilerific if I have to explain it?
As in spoilerific to your article or spoilerific to the movie?
No, spoilerific to the movie. So should I say what the ending is or should I just say why I like it?
All of these films, apart from 1, 2, have come out within the last 10 years. So just go for it. If they haven't seen it at this point, it's on them.
All right, I'll just go for it as Nan puts it. Yeah, so we know at the Truman Show, he discovers that he is not in reality. He's in a TV show, and he tries to. He has that courageous moment against the creator, and eventually, takes his final bow and steps out the door to freedom. And I think the ending, the whole movie, it just really it ties up, the loose ends. It provokes thoughts and raises questions on how we perceive authenticity and how we seek, a deeper meaning in life that, is genuine and is authentic. So Truman Show, yeah, I think it's, yeah, it's all about, yearning for genuine experiences, not kind of the digital experiences a lot of people are currently living these days. 9 is La La Land. This one, I think it's more about the impact it's had on me more than it being the top 10 greatest of all time. For La La Land, for me, I really loved the um, the thinking around what La La Land does, and it's pointing to the it's pointing to the balance between personal aspirations and romantic relationships. How much should you sacrifice? Do you give up on your dream to go for your dream relationship? I find it very interesting, and the way La La Land does it, I think, is it's very powerful because it does show both realities, and it's just so bittersweet. We get to see what Sebastian and Mia could have had, but it just goes to show the complex choices and the trade-offs that we make between our own personal desires and romantic relationships. And I thought it did it really well. Next, 8 is Seven. We all know about Seven. Basically what John Doe does, his orchestration of all the murders and putting together the 7 deadly sins, with the final one being wrath and Brad Pitt to commit that sin and the 7th murder. I thought it's just absolutely brilliant. There's a lot of commentary on the line between justice and vengeance. It also like goes through I think the ending really, it provides a little bit of commentary on morality as well, and rationality. I think it just makes it very interesting. And the iconic what's in the box line is just, it's always being repeated these days. Number 7, The Shawshank Redemption. The movie is a classic in cinematic history, but the ending for this one, I think it's a really heartwarming ending. It speaks to the power of a transformation, being able to redeem yourself, have a fresh start. It also speaks to hope and friendship, and I think it just concludes it really well. With Red's journey towards redemption, he follows Andy's instructions, and he starts a new life. It's all about resilience, the potential for positive change, and it just leaves a sense of optimism despite the challenges that we have in life. And a lot of these endings are actually quite tragic endings, so this one's one of the more positive ones. 6, I have Titanic. Now Titanic might be a bit of a surprise to some people. I thought what it did is it may not have the type of social commentary or thought-provoking aspects as the others, but I think it beautifully sums up the movie in terms of shows the transcendent nature of Rose and Jack's love that they experienced on the Titanic. And it just kind of shows how powerful love can be despite some of the most tragic circumstances that have ever happened. And I think it just kept it off. It captivated what those characters went through and their connection together. I thought it just did a very, very good job. And the fact that I still know the ending, like almost frame for frame, just shows how memorable it was and how impactful it was. Number 5 is The Godfather. It concludes with that powerful scene of his wife Kay and how she confronts him about if he was involved in the murder of their brother-in-law. And he lies to her, and then he gets greeted as the Don. And it just kind of shows the complete transformation of that character and how where he is now. And it's the door closes on her, and you just see her reaction. I think it's just so good. It really just it shows like it just shows so much like nuance between these characters and the transformation that Michael's had. Just shows his descent into the world of organized crime. And it's just the door closing and the right shots is all a very powerful visual metaphor that underscores the entire themes that are at play in that scene. Number 4 is Inception. Inception's ending has been discussed massively, to the point where I think it's almost redundant. And I think Nolan himself has kind of stated that as well. Obviously, Inception has a beautiful orchestra backing it up through time, which, in my opinion, it is probably the greatest piece of music in film ever. But that's just my opinion. It is a very, very tough accolade to get. But yeah, I think that time, the Hans Zimmer piece, and that backs this up completely and elevates it to a whole new level. It's just in terms of the best endings aspect to it. We know the spinning top thing. Did it fall? Did it not? Is he in reality or is he in a dream? I think the powerful part of it, or the part that I like, is that Cobb just doesn't care. And Nolan alluded to this. He's seeing his kids regardless, and I think it makes it powerful. But the really open-ended conclusion, I think it does encourage the viewers to understand and discuss this a little bit more, which is why Inception ending is still being talked about today. Number 3, I have Oppenheimer. Maybe a bit early for this. I get that. But I do think, 20 years from now, Oppenheimer will be looked at as a very, very powerful ending that is completely up there and one of the best. And if the world goes to nuclear warfare and it is the end, it will be the best ending of all time. Like you can't deny that, because it showed what happened, and it was just, yeah. So there is potential for it to be the greatest movie of all time. I hope that doesn't happen, because yeah. But it ended with a montage of the catastrophic consequences of nuclear warfare. It shows, just has a chilling commentary on the fragility of human civilization, and how there needs to be a peaceful coexistence with such destructive weapons that are around because of Oppenheimer. So I think it beautifully capped off that movie, while also showing the haunting nature of our world today, rather than the world that it was in back then. And the timing of Oppenheimer couldn't have been better, because we are kind of at that edge where, from that ending, it's a button away. It's a button away. That's the scary part about it. So number 2, I got Psycho, the 1960s movie. That movie is one of the greatest films of all time. We know this. Yeah, the shock ending is just crazy at the end. It's still discussed today. It exposes the psyche of Norman Bates and what the murder happened, or what the murders were like. It reveals that he has a dissociative identity disorder, and he assumes the identity of his mother, who's dead, and that identity is the one that's doing these killings. I think it was a chilling portrayal on blurred lines between reality and illusion. I think it had a good exploration of mental health and the complexity of the human mind, and really what the human mind is capable of. If the human mind is capable of being two people, I think it's really just a good exploration, and I think it's quite thought-provoking when you really sit down and think about it. And I think the movie does a good job of making you think and putting you on the spot and making you think about these types of things. And I think that it's why it's regarded as one of the best films of all time. And so what I think the best ending of all time is The Planet of the Apes, 1968. This ending has always been regarded as one of the best endings of all time. And it really just is. And it's very similar to the Oppenheimer one. It released in a very difficult time, and as such, it had a really big, a very wide praise at that time, because of what was happening and how it kind of alluded to that as well. But again, you might have seen the ending coming, but it doesn't diminish the effect of it. The camera pans to reveal the half-buried Statue of Liberty, which shows that that the main character, he was on Earth the entire time, and we thought he was traveling and he wasn't on Earth. So the revelation showed the consequences of human war, the potential for self-destruction there. And yeah, the ending really continues to resonate with people because that reality could come true. We could destroy ourselves, perhaps not apes take over the world or anything, but it can still happen. And the fact that this ending is one of the most discussed endings of all time. The ending quote, I've forgotten it. Oh, it's like, you burned it, you bastard. Something along those lines. I'm sure, Nan, if you heard that quote, you would know exactly what it's from and where it's from. But yeah, just powerful stuff. But yeah, that is my top 10 or the top 10 film endings of all time. Again, it's from every movie ever. No one's going to get 100% right. But I think you can't dispute that all these movies have a great film ending. Well,
No,
what are your thoughts on my list?
I like the list. I like your number 1 and 2. It definitely deserves those spots. I
Mm-hmm.
thought Truman Show would be a hell of a lot higher. I thought that would be like top 3, top 5 at least.
Oh, really?
Because of its impact in cinema.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same with Shawshank, and I think 7 at 7 was robbed. 7 should have been at 7 just for the meme.
I didn't think about that actually.
But no, same with Shawshank. I thought that should have been up there a bit higher.
Mm,
Oppenheimer having that high in like 6 weeks of it coming out is a bit ambitious. In
yeah.
the long run, it could be completely true, but for now, I'll have it in the bottom half of the 10 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Inception, Godfather, and Titanic. I think they're perfectly fine where they're on like that mid-table sort of area.
Yeah.
But there are a few films that I thought could have been considered just based on
Mm-hmm.
the ending alone, like regardless
Yeah.
of the movie. I think
Mm-hmm.
Furious 7 had a fantastic ending, the tribute to Paul Walker and
Oh yeah.
everything about that, I think
Mm-hmm.
that was a fantastic ending for probably one of the best Fast and Furious films made so far.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe The Lion King as well, because it's literally coming round full circle, and the whole theme of it is the circle of
Oh
life.
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
that as well. Me personally, I probably have Interstellar in there just because it was like probably one of the only films to make me like tear up properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that
Uh-huh.
ending. So yeah, this whole list is very, very good. But I think even anyone can agree that Planet of the Apes should be number 1. I mean, that
Yeah.
just like watching it for the first time, and like hearing people who've experienced it in theaters for the first time back in the
Mm,
60s. This
yeah.
was like the first ever like big major plot twist in cinema, like
Mm-hmm.
broadly, and
Yeah.
the fact that it's still being talked about today. The
Mm-hmm.
shitty remake tried to do that with where Abraham Lincoln was Ape Lincoln. Ugh, they try to recapture that, but clearly it didn't work out. But yeah,
Yeah.
the first Planet of the Apes, just the revelation that he's still on Earth and the
Mm,
Statue of Liberty is still there, and that the apes actually did take over. It's just like a holy shit sort of
yeah.
ending.
It was so good. A lot of these they were so much more impactful in their day and their time of release. Obviously Planet of the Apes hits a bit different now, but yeah, if I lived in the 1960s and watched that for the first time, I would have been like, oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Interstellar was considered. The Dark Knight was considered. Casablanca, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Um, yeah, those were some ones that were quite high for me. I didn't consider The Lion King. I didn't remember it until you mentioned, or I didn't remember the ending until you had mentioned it. What was the other one? Oh, Furious 7. Yeah,
Mm.
Furious 7. That could be considered. It's just a lot of these movies, the ending makes or is part of a great film and they make the film better. Furious 7, the ending does make the film better, but it's not really part of a great film. So the ending's not as great as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also looked at something like Avengers Infinity War, um,
Oh yeah.
for how that ended. I think that was really, really strong. But again, the quality of the movie is all right. So the ending, um, it doesn't have the kind of impact and longing thoughts as these other movies do. Oppenheimer, I get it's premature and I will take that on the chin, but just wait 10 years, people, and you'll see I'm right. You'll see I'm right. I'm gonna bring this up in a potty 10 years from now. 2033, book it.
Mark me your diaries, ladies and gentlemen.
10 years from now.
If it's not,
Uh,
you know where to find James. You can add him on there.
yeah. But yeah, remember to go onto MovieGainz.com. We have lists coming out once a week. So yeah, be sure to tune into that. Yeah.
Cool. Moving on is next topic is physical media, something that we get rarely down here in New Zealand from Disney, and we're not going to get any of these being down here thanks to Disney. They've recently come out with fantastic, like actually jaw-droppingly fantastic steelbook cover arts for WandaVision, Loki, and The Mandalorian season 1 and 2. This was just announced recently this week. As soon as this got announced, James flicked me a message and said, "Are you buying any of these?" And I was like, "I'll probably most likely get one or two of them, but I think I might get all of them after having a further discussion with James." So the first one is Loki. That's going to drop later not this month, next month, September, to somewhat come in line with Loki season 2. And then you have WandaVision in November, and then The Mandalorian, both season 1 and season 2, dropping in December. So, James, are you going to buy any of these? Would you like to see Disney or even streaming services release more physical media content for this? And if you had to pick one Disney Plus series, whether MCU or not, which one would you want to see have this sort of steelbook 4K treatment?
Well, interesting. There's a lot of questions there.
Sorry, should have done it one at a time.
Yes, I will buy them. There's actually 3 questions to this. So yes, I will be buying them. And yeah, streaming should do this more. I'll dive into each one. And the third one was the series. Okay, I'll get into that one last. Just hold on to that question. Don't let me forget because I like the question. So yeah, I will be buying all of them. It's basically what I said to you is that 1, I want to support physical media. 2, I just want it in my collection. 3, because Disney's pulled out of Australia and New Zealand, I want to show that we are a market that will buy them. And 4, I think they are going to be very valuable in the future. So if I don't care for WandaVision in 10 years from now or 5 years from now, I mean, it's going to be very valuable. You could probably sell it 3 times the purchase price, I reckon, in a few years. So I mean, you can treat it like an investment if you want. But yeah, plus they all look amazing. Like the steelbook covers are great. You know, from the inside, the back, and they're all steelbooks as well. And I love you know, having my stuff in steelbooks. I think that they are ridiculously expensive, so I don't get them all the time, but these ones I will. And I've always thought, you know, streaming services should be doing this. If they're going to spend 150 to 200 million dollars on movies, just add a physical media release to it. You know, I am, you know, because WandaVision, Mandalorian, all these shows, we're seeing it on Disney Plus. And with streaming, you are downloading the data, which is the video live. That's what streaming is. And so there's more compression so that our internet can actually download it faster and can stream it without buffering. But you know, on the disc, it's uncompressed and it's just running through your player. And when it's uncompressed, the visual quality is going to be so much better and noticeably better as well. Sure, it's great still on, you know, streaming 4K, but it's not going to be the same. And there's no buffering period or anything. So you're going to get the max quality for these things. And there are movies out there that have debuted on, you know, Netflix, Disney Plus. I don't know about the others, but yeah, so I'm glad we see it on physical media now. I know that Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Netflix, all these players, they keep these TV shows or these movies exclusive to the platform to encourage people to subscribe so that they can rewatch them. I get it, completely do, but you know, it's just the fact that what Disney here is doing is good. It's smart because I think it's been a couple years since WandaVision now. So it's the right time to do it. Anyone that wanted to see it already has seen it. They've obviously used a free trial or they've gotten a subscription. And they've watched what they wanted to watch, and that's fine. But now, like, who's going to be buying a subscription to Disney Plus 2 years or now just to watch WandaVision? Nobody. So the physical media now, it's a good time to do it. It's had time to help boost subscription rates on the Disney Plus platform. So now it's time to reward the physical media collectors. And at the end of the day, it's more money in the pocket for Disney. I hope other streaming services follow suit. I can't really think of much series that I need right now that are exclusive to streaming. I guess I'm like The Boys. I'd love to have that. There must be Stranger Things. I would like that. Stranger Things would be awesome. I couldn't say HBO because they do their stuff. They do their due diligence, which is good. I would have said Ted Lasso, but don't care now. The ending was bad. But yeah, and what was your final question? When I told you.
It was the what's the one Disney Plus content that you would want to buy on physical media, show or movie?
Right. Disney Plus, and it's not out of the ones that have obviously been announced, right? No. Okay. Well, Falcon and Winter Soldier are apparently going to get their treatment next year, so that's good. I'll also be buying that. No, not She-Hulk.
Doesn't
not
have
Hawkeye.
to be. Doesn't have to be MCU related.
What else is there? I could do. I would like Obi-Wan just for the sake that it's Obi-Wan, and I have all the Star Wars in Steelbook. So, except for 8 and 9. Yeah, that's a really good question. Do you have any ideas? My mind's been going blank.
Obi-Wan was one of mine. Probably get that. Maybe something earlier. Maybe like something stupid like the Mighty Ducks or Phineas and Ferb.
No.
Yes.
Not in 4K.
But yeah, it's not. There's not really much. Majority of the stuff that Disney does is they usually do release it. In 4K. It's mainly the other studios. Like, I'd love to have The Boys and Stranger Things, as you said. Maybe Rick and Morty. Maybe just the first 3 to 4 seasons. Of that.
That's gone downhill.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, I do need to watch Andor, and I've heard loads of good things about that, and I'm still seeing on the pipeline. So if I watch that and I do resonate with that show as much as everyone else, that might be my pick. Because I've heard really good stuff and nominated for Emmys and stuff. So
yeah.
Mm.
Insane. All right, the next topic is something we don't like to discuss, but unfortunately, it's happened. The rumor out there is Dune getting delayed. People have been saying yes. People have been saying no. Well, Warner Brothers has said, see you later. It's gone. It's next year now. We're not going to get it this year. It's not going to be in contention for Oscars this year. It's now moved off to March 15th, 2024. And along with that, Godzilla X Kong has also been moved to April 24th. But strangely, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom stays. That's very interesting because the news about Dune happened the day before Empire released all their covers for it. So we've gotten 2 trailers and multiple covers from Empire for this film.
Yeah,
Aquaman, we haven't seen nothing in the past 3 years for it. So just to give you guys a bit of a hindsight, March 2024 is looking hella stacked, like hella stacked. So not only do we have Dune in there, we also have Elio, a Pixar movie, The Fall Guy, A Quiet Place Day 1, Kung Fu Panda 2, the remake of Snow White from Disney, Mickey 17, which is Bong Joon-ho's next film with Robert Pattinson, and the untitled Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel as well. So that's a pretty stacked month blockbuster wise for Hollywood. So James, what are your thoughts on this news, and do you think anything in that March slate is going to get pushed back due to the heavy competition?
Oh, if they get pushed back, I don't know if they will get pushed back. We saw March this year have quite a stacked year. Do you remember that time with there was something every single week, and I don't know, but I think those things are kind of complementary to each other. You know, you got that Pixar movie and then the Fall Guy. They're polar opposites, and they can do business in a market. And then same the next week after that, it's A Quiet Place, and then Kung Fu Panda 4. So it's two very different movies. They can be there together. And then you got a Dune a week into itself, and then Disney's Snow White. I'm very interested to see how well Snow White will do. It is one of the most iconic stuff, but I'm hearing a lot of things about it. I don't know if they'll translate to the casual audience though. Mickey 17. I don't think Mickey 17 is going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic, but I don't know if it's going to be like a blockbuster or like a big 40, 50 million opener. I just don't think Bong Joon-ho is that kind of director and can command such an audience to appear. We'll have to see. It really depends on how big they're going to push the marketing, because Robert Pattinson's big. And if they can push that it was the director of Parasite, I think that could, get a lot of attention. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yeah. I don't really know where the Ghostbusters franchise stands in terms of how big of a franchise they are. I think they're fine, but yeah, it's just it is going to be a very fun month. I'm very excited for the month. Just because it's a lot of different variety and a lot of different little projects I'm excited for. And some that I aren't excited for. But yeah, I'm not going to
Imagine if
say
Beyond
Dune.
was Beyond the Spider-Verse it didn't get moved. It was still part of that March slate.
My opinion would be much different right now. It would be an insane month. And also to release 3 animated movies in 1 month is not a smart move.
Yeah.
Because families can't afford 3 movies in 1 month. Sadly. But yeah, Beyond the Spider-Verse, that completely changed the game. But we're not going to get that for a while. Dune getting delayed. I'm not going to say that's inevitable. I did genuinely believe it wouldn't get moved. I thought these strikes would be finished by September at the latest. And since it was releasing start in November, I thought that's plenty of time to get your actors up and about, promoting the movie. I mean, if strikes end tomorrow, is this a mistake? I don't know. But you've already invested a lot of money already promoting the movie. Now you have to shift it. You've lost your, I think, 6 to 8 week IMAX exclusivity period. The fact that the first one earned 25% of its box office on IMAX, that's huge. And now it's going to be releasing in a stacked month. I don't know if IMAX are going to give that kind of exclusiveness to this film. Perhaps they will, but maybe not for so long. It'll take away Snow White, and whatever else releases, but it won't have the same kind of length as it would have now. So we'll have to see if this is the right move for Warner Brothers. It really depends on how the strikes play out. Perhaps they're playing the safe game, and that's probably the best strategy. Or they could have rolled the dice. Or, I don't know, move or cancel Aquaman. Push Dune to a holiday release that it capitalize on the Hollywood period where box office goes bananas, and just let it reap the rewards, because obviously it's going to be good. People are going to come back for more during the holiday period. You're going to expose another bit of the casual audience to it because they're going to want to see something throughout the holiday period. But yeah, no, you're going to use Aquaman for that, and sure, it worked once, but you better have a good movie in there, because if you're going to keep that in there and sacrifice Dune, you better have a good movie, or a movie that casual audiences will like. But yeah, in Godzilla moving, it's just natural, because it has to happen. You can't have 2 Warner Brothers on the same weekend eating in each other like that. So I get that. I don't really know what Godzilla times Kong is, or why it's coming, but
It's going to be
it'll
fun.
be it will be fun. It will be fun. I'm looking forward to that. What I do like about this is the fact that the actors get to promote Dune too, because it is a big movie, and I think just with the cast like that they deserve the chance to promote their film. Also, 2024 was looking like a desert wasteland for a bit, and now we get the chance to have a little bit more in there. So it kind of does, it spreads things out more thinly across the release slate. Yeah. But that's it's only the positives. I just want the film industry to be healthy, man. First we had COVID destroying it, and now we have the studios not paying people fairly. I'm over it, honestly.
Yeah. And there could be more delays to come. Who knows? But I am
Yeah.
very thankful for Dune 2 moving because now I can finally put on my top 10 for
Oh yes.
2024.
I thought about this and I'm like, he better put it on his top 10 next time.
That meme is now officially dead. Thank you, Warner Brothers, for assisting that because it's no longer
Not
releasing.
yet. I have about 3 months to make use of it and then it's gone. Or about 2 months. We'll probably do our most anticipated in like November or something. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna milk this till I can as much as I can.
Or who knows? It might be controversial and just leave it off. Just on
No,
purpose.
you're controversial last time and left it off.
But yeah, no, the memes aside, it does baffle me how we've seen so much marketing for Dune already, but nothing for Aquaman and that stain. Maybe because Warner Brothers have PTSD over COVID when the first Dune came out, so they're just worried that they want to actually have this franchise kick off and be successful. They don't think that it could happen. And then the other side of the coin is also they want their actors and cast and crew to actually go out and promote this film because it's pretty much it's a big film. Like, could you imagine Oppenheimer or Barbie not being promoted by the actors? It would just be very weird.
Yeah, I get it.
So yeah, it is a bit premature, but I think it is a good decision on Warner Brothers' part for now. Like you said, if tomorrow it comes out and saying Warner Brothers has settled their strike issues, then they're going to be like, oh shit, do they bring
Yeah.
it back or do they just commit? Yeah, Godzilla vs Kong, that's like a film that you can just always push around, it's just there for blockbuster fun, just
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, lit giant lizard going at each other. But 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 yeah, March is looking very, very interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for the month of March. Going back to your comment of Aquaman having nothing yet. I have a funny story that just happened before we recorded this. Also, so my mom's a big Jason Momoa fan, and I forgot to reply to her over the last like week. I've just been too tired. And then in her messages, she had she's like, oh, it was about the Aquaman keeping its release date for December this year. She's like, oh, so excited for this. 'Cause she loved the first one. And I was like, oh, don't expect much from this. I've just heard like all this production, like all these problems happen on set. So don't expect big things from this, like the first one for you. And then she's like, oh yeah, I saw the trailer and it didn't look that good. And I was like, no, you didn't, because there is no trailer out for it. And she's like, what's this then? And then she sent me this YouTube video, and it's like a fake fan made trailer. Granted, it looks pretty it's pretty well made for a fan trailer, but still very obviously not good. Didn't make a ton of sense. And I was like, well, that's completely fake. It's not even real, for one. So I just died. I found that hilarious.
Oh, that's funny. Good old parents, eh? They always
Yeah.
just believe the first thing they see on their timeline as being legit.
Do you
Uh, it's
have you always on Facebook? Do you always see like those fan made posters?
yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's like something coming out in December, and it's like completely fake. And that's I love it. They're so good.
Although sometimes fan made posters are better than the actual posters we get.
Sometimes the
Yeah.
ones I see on Facebook have those fan posters, and then everyone's like tagging each other, like, "Oh my god, so excited! We have to go to it!" And it's like not even a real movie. It's like Harry Potter 9. It's like what? Like, they just buy it. Yeah.
Oh, people. All right, moving on. So the Xbox game, Gears of War, that's recently come into the spotlight recently, based on Zack Snyder. He's pretty much just said it will be cool to see this Gears of War film, be in a movie. And he is thinking about potentially directing it. So James, I'm not sure if you've played Gears of War before. If you have you? And if not, would you be interested in seeing Zack Snyder direct this gaming franchise?
I think I've only played the games if I've been at someone's house. I haven't sat down and played them myself. I personally don't care for them at all. So extending to that, I don't care if Zack Snyder would do it as well. One, simply because I don't know enough about the franchise to be excited for anyone directing it, unless it's like some massively highly acclaimed director, of course. But from the brief stuff I've seen, Zack Snyder might be a good fit in terms of visual style. You might be able to capture it well on that front. But again, his screenplays aren't good. But does Gears of War, is that a well written game? Is that quite compelling in that sense? Or is it more visual, more style over substance kind of a game where Zack Snyder could fit in? I'm
Zack
sure
Snyder
you've played the
fits.
games.
Yeah, I played
Yeah.
Zack
Mm.
Snyder can definitely fit in. I think the real or the best part of the story doesn't kick in until like Gears 4 to 5. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, 3 to 4. That's probably when it
Yep.
really starts to kick in. But I think the first 3 games is perfectly suited for Zack Snyder. The world's his oyster with that visually,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't have to worry about screenplays because the screenplay's right there. It's a decent enough game. I mean, it's warranted 5 sequels, so it must be doing something right. And the story
Yep.
is interesting, and I think casual audiences will 100% get on board with it as well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'll be on board. Zack Snyder directing this, and I'll be on board a Gears of War. Gears of War. Yes, sorry. I always get
Yeah.
so on my notes. I wrote GOW, and whenever I see that, I see it as God of War. So I'm getting a little bit tongue tied right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll be keen for a Gears of War movie. Just as long as it like adapts the story or stays very
Mm-hmm.
close to the story of the video games. If it's
Yeah.
just a story by Zack Snyder or whichever director with the Gears title in it, then it's gonna be pretty much like most video games nowadays, where it doesn't quite adapt the story and usually tends to
Yeah.
be. So yeah, we'll
Mm-hmm.
wait and see if anything kicks off on this or whatnot.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. And the last topic is Thor 5. So this isn't official. This isn't confirmed. Thor is coming back, but it is in discussions. Taika Waititi is interested in doing Thor 5. So pretty much, all right, I think everyone knows our thoughts on Thor Love and Thunder. So my question for you, James, is what would you want to see from Thor 5 to rectify Thor Thor Love and Thunder?
Taika not returning. That's for one. I would be fine if top for Taika to returning, but his attitude and response to, or how people responded to Thor: Love and Thunder is where I take quite a big issue with it. He said that, oh, I wish Ragnarok wasn't so good so people would like Love and Thunder. I'm like, no, dude, you just made a bad movie. Like, just take it, accept the feedback, and then learn from it, and then or 5, you'd do a lot better. If he had that kind of reaction to it, then I would be back or like down for him to come back. It's just Thor needs to close now. I think the door's done with him, but I do want a Thor 5 so we can cap it off. If it ends with Thor Love and Thunder, it kind of wastes like the character's journey. In terms of like, the Trinity, for the MCU, as the DC one's kind of called Trinity. The Trinity is really Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. And so 2 out of 3 have already had like really good endings to their characters. And so I think Thor needs to have his good ending as well. Don't know if Taika's the right one to do it. Really depends on how he's going to come into it. Is he going to make Thor a bumbling jock idiot? Like with just a complete idiot, like no smarts at all? Like, yeah, then I don't want it. There needs to be seriousness. And I think Ragnarok was a good blend. I think it lent a little bit too heavy to kind of the humor, but all in all, I think it did some really good stuff, in terms of storytelling, in terms of the character. So yeah, I just want him to have serious edges. He can be funny, he can be a comedic character. What they've done with Star-Lord, I think, is perfect. That's what I want in a comedic character. He's really funny. And then when, shit hits the fan, when things get serious, he's really good. And Chris Pratt does that really well. I mean, look at Guardians 1, where it's his whole mother, like that whole side of it. And then Yondu in the second one. I think what they've done there is brilliant. James Gunn is really good at achieving that balance. if Taika can achieve a balance, then sure, I'm down for him to come back. He's clearly like decent at capturing a visual side of the film, but yeah, I just want a little bit more of a serious Thor. He can still joke, but just say something where it doesn't seem like he has like 15 brain cells kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
What about you?
I agree with you, especially now that he's a father now, or somewhat adopted father.
Yes.
The direction I want to see this is him like building that relationship with his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So his daughter's probably going to be older in this now, so I think he needs to
Yep.
have a fitting ending for him, whether he dies or not. I think it's probably best if he does die, because then it'll just make everything a bit more impactful in terms of the Trinity.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it needs to go, and just pretty much you nailed it perfectly. Just keep out the stupid, silly jokes, childish jokes, because at the end of the day, Thor is not a sort of kiddie, sort of jerky, sort of character.
Yeah.
He's full on serious. He's literally a god of thunder.
Yeah.
So everyone should be taking him seriously, and he's a force to be reckoned with. And we haven't really seen that, and the only time we've actually seen that would be Avengers Infinity War. Other than that, we've barely seen him be that sort of Thor proper,
Serious.
serious character.
Unless in the first two, he's kind of overly serious, dull.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
I think Taika needs to find a good balance of comedy and seriousness, similar to James Gunn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll guess we'll wait and see if this is actually confirmed, and
Mm.
if it does end up getting pushed forward.
Yeah. If Thor has to die in this last one, as you said, how would you feel about a James Mangold approach, old man Thor kind of vibes,
I
just
think
to save his daughter or something like that?
I'm all for it. That's perfect, because you got the emotional sort of compelling aspect to that with Thor sacrificing his life for his daughter. It's we're capping off a character that's been in the MCU since the start. He's obviously had
Hmm.
highs and lows, and he's literally lost everything. So the last thing he
Yeah.
needs to lose is himself.
Hmm.
Because if you
Yeah.
just kill off his daughter, then that's just way too brutal.
It is because he's lost everyone and now he lost
Yeah.
Jane. So yeah, that would be bad. But I mean, I saw Tyker's thoughts and he wants a villain more powerful than Hela, and Hela was ultra powerful, destroyed the hammer. So I don't think he's the right fit because I want Thor battling something else, perhaps his self in terms of trying to find peace and happiness. I don't think we need a villain that you know goes and destroys worlds and is ultra powerful. I don't think that's the right move.
Yeah. An intellectual villain will be great for him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So someone that breaks
And
his mind and spirit.
yeah, yeah,
Sweet
agreed.
as
Agreed.
agreed. Sweet as guys, that'll do us on today's episode of Let's Be Real. Hope you've all enjoyed the show wherever you've been listening from. If you have any questions about this episode, be sure to hit us up on social media. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, or YouTube. Or if you want to see what else we get up to, head over to MovieGainz.com. They got all the latest box office news, film, and physical media content, and a whole lot more. And you can check out James's top 10 film ending list there as well. And be sure to sign up to our newsletter so you can always keep up to date with our latest content for the week. And hey, if you enjoyed today's episode and want to hear more, check us out on Spotify or wherever the hell you get your podcast from, and give us a listen from there. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. Catch you on the next episode of Movie Gainz. See you later.
Peace.